Well, guys, I finally got a decision out of the owner, and we're gonna tear it apart ourselves and see what we got. Once we get the case split on it and get the shafts out of it, we're gonna make a determination then what we're gonna do. You know, if it's got a bunch of worn shafts and worn clutch drums, where we're gonna have $20,000 into it, you know, in parts, we might as well get the reman. It gets everything new in it. But I'm gonna start off here. We'll end up pulling our pull this line here from our pump drive housing down to the case. We'll pull our yoke. We'll pull our pump drive itself off. We'll pull our mounts. Pull this park brake line down here. This is your park brake housing. Here we'll pull this park brake yoke. Pull it out. I'll undo my harness and get the electrical harness off of it. And then I'll come out and pull our input bearing. There's a feed line right here going to your input bearing. It goes over here. I think it comes actually out of the pump drive housing right here. So yeah, we'll get all that stuff off first. And then what we're gonna have to do is I'll have to get the forklift over here and get on one end with get the forks underneath here to kind of, once it comes over center, it doesn't fall down real hard. And then I'll get my crane on my service truck on this lifting eye right here, and you know, start lifting on it, and then we'll catch it with the forklift and let her down real easy, and we'll stand it up horizontal. And then right here, this case half right here splits. This is your rear cover on this one, and we'll pull it off. And then your shaft's under there, but for now you'll have to pull this park brake off too, and we'll show you how to do that in sequence. And then there's a rear output bearing inside here you have to pull off too after you get that park brake off. So let me get kind of tooled up here and get situated, and we'll start tearing this thing apart. Alright guys, we're going to start by taking the electrical harness off the transmission. Actually, we'll take our oil feed line off because this loom here is running underneath this line. So we'll pull this oil feed line off, going to our input bearing. 10/16. It's actually 7/8. And of course the whole fitting's turning with that one, so yeah, I'm not gonna hold that one. It's got a web right there. I'll have to get like a stubby 3/4 or something to hold that. Maybe. I don't know. There we go. You gotta like it when fittings turn too, and you can't do this, especially in a tight spot where you can't get another wrench on it. That's real handy. Well, it's Labor Day, and I probably should be taking a day off, but I don't know. I can't stand sitting around the house. And I drive my wife crazy if I'm sitting around the house and she wants me out of there. So. Okay, so what is this? There's a little hold down strap up here, and it looks like an 8mm. To be honest with you, like on Sundays, holidays, when everybody else is taking the day off, I love coming down here and working because it's just so peaceful. And you can, you can concentrate on what you're doing. There isn't somebody stopping every 5 minutes with a problem, or you get a big project like this, you kind of like to concentrate on what you're doing. Oh, I just dropped the flat washer. Just stick that back in the case so I don't lose that little booger. Throw this feed line down here for now. And we'll start unplugging our. I hope we don't have a bunch of broken clips and wires here, because that can happen on these. They get brittle. These two here, and all these plugins are the same. These two here, I'm not too worried about. They're pretty well trained to where they're supposed to be, but these two here, I can see you could easily get those mixed up. I think I'm going to get like a paint marker and mark these two right here so these don't get mixed up. This one down here, I mean, it's obviously the only short one, and this one here. These two here, I can see how I could get that screwed up. Let me get a paint marker. Okay. A marker here to mark, maybe I'll mark this top one. Yellow paint marker. Yeah, that coil sure is loose on there. The coil's loose. Mark this plug in with yellow. Okay, so we can't screw that one up. Go back again. I mean, it's obviously, you're gonna be able to figure it out. Even if you did screw it up, it wouldn't be that hard to figure out. Okay, I've got some big zip ties holding it to this main line right here. Okay, this whole adapter assembly comes off there. And there's going to be a plug-in for the transmission oil filter pressure switch going to the top of the filter head. Unplug that, and they've got the little pigtails that tied to that convoluted tubing. Cut that off. Try to cut it off without cutting a wire or two. Okay. And okay, so I'm going to mark these with my paint marker also. Mark that one. Okay. Worst comes to worst, I guess I get the service manual and they're all colored. color coded different colors, I can figure out what color I want where. But I'm pretty sure I should be able to figure out these wires are pretty well trained to where they go. As long as I mark some key ones that might be a little bit confusing, they should be fine. Some of these centers, they plug in upside down up against the case, and you can get a screwdriver in there and pop it loose. There's another one I'll mark over here. Alright, what I think I'll do, I'll go ahead and buzz our mounts off. And that harness will actually be easier to get out of there. I might even get my pump drive off there before I ended up pulling the rest of the harness loose, and then that'll make it really easy to get out of there then. I think that's what I'll end up doing. Let's go ahead and get our mounts off of there. Get those 24mm. So I'm going to say, just so there's no confusion here. So if I'm looking at the back of the transmission, left side, right side, let's mark this mount here with an L. Just so there's no confusion there. I'll mark the other one with an R. And I'm not going to get an impact wrench on those. Get an end wrench. Wow. Let's see here. I have to eat my Wheaties this morning. Almost amazing how electric impact just makes it seem like it's nothing taking them off. If you go to do them by hand, holy cow. Okay. And then the top one wasn't near as tight as the bottom one. That can be the right one. Okay. All right. Next thing I think I'm going to do here, this big line here, we'll take this one off, and we'll take this one off coming from our pump drive back down our case, and this one here going to the filter head. Get those loose. That one looks like 1 7/8 inches or something like that maybe. Maybe 1 5/8 inches. This one here's 1 7/8. Okay, I think maybe what I'll do is leave that attached to the filter head and just unbolt the filter head and take it all off. Yeah, looks like maybe 15, 16 millimeter, and zip that off. Might have to, let's see here. Alright, there's our filter head. Bunch of dirt sitting in on top of it. I didn't catch that part when I blew it off. That thing's not tight or anything, look at that. Stand that filter head up where it don't bleed oil everywhere. Okay, and this looks like maybe 1.5 or 1 5/8 here. Then we can pull our pump drive off. Yep. I'll tell you guys, we've got fire surrounding us, and it's so smoky. It looks like fog out there. It's so bad, and it's pretty normal this time of the year in this area to have fires, you know. But this year it's really bad. Okay, so what size are those? 24s. Tight. Alright. Okay. Okay, there's our pump drive. There's a big pilot O-ring on that pump drive. Throw it in the pump drive. Put the bolts back where they were so nothing gets mixed up there. Okay, there's our pump drive shaft. Now we should be able to easily get our wiring harness out. We might have to take, oh, we got a couple test lines here. These are test lines here that are capped on the end for testing the transmission, which is really no need. We know it's screwed up, so I might be able to get this out of here like this without taking those test lines off. Okay. Alright. So get to 15 or 16 millimeters there. The actual junction block for the wiring harness. Zip those loose and then the wiring harness will be off. Alright. Okay. Yeah, we're making some progress. I'm going to leave the coils in it. There's really no sense in taking them out. They're just feeding oil into your shafts. Look how loose that one is. Which is really not too big of a deal as long as it's still on the shaft. Just tighten it up. Okay, well, let's get this park brake line off of here. We drain the oil in the transmission, but you know you're still going to make a mess. I mean, there's still oil trapped in that transmission. There's just no way around it. All right, now we're going to move the yoke, and we're going to get our park brake off of there. Transmission doesn't look so big with that hot drive housing and everything off. Oh, that's way bigger than that. Might have to get a 3/4 gun out. Yeah, that's way bigger than that. That's okay. I can get a 3/4 gun out and zip that off. Pull the yoke off. Looks like 1 3/16 is what I'm going to use. Yeah, it's metric, but 1 3/16 it works just fine. And most of the time I've had those off before they just slide off. I'm going to have to tap on that one to get it to come loose. A lot of these John Deeres will have an O-ring right here that seals the spline, so the oil Does it run up the shaft and out the splines and out the end of the yoke, so make sure you put that back on there when you tear them. Put them back together. Okay, park brake time. This is where you guys have to really be careful. If you'll notice, let me blow this one, I'll show you here. Let me get my flashlight because you guys are going to need some light to see this. These park brake housings on these 18-speed power shifts and these 9000 series are numbered for each cap screw. This light is too bright. There we go. That's number 1. Straight across down here, that's number 2. So what we're going to do, we'll go in numerical sequence here. What number is this one here? It's probably got to be number 3, because this is number 4. And you'll back it off a turn here. 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 You get the picture. And just keep doing that a turn at a time till you get that bevel spring tension off this. You'll break this housing if you just start zipping them off, because you'll put uneven tension on this park brake housing. So what size is that? That looks like maybe 15s or 16s. It's 15 millimeter. I'm going to get a 1/2-inch drive ratchet and let me see if I can get a little better angle here where you guys can see what's going on. A little better camera placement maybe. Okay. Alright, let's start out on number 1. We're going to go a complete turn. And we'll go to number 2. Half. We'll go to number 3. Number 4. Okay, and this is number 6, so number 5 has got to be right here. And number 7. Okay. It's an odd number of bolts. There's 7 of them in there. I'll start back at number 1. And you get it. You really want to do this. I can't stress to you enough how not to just zip them off. You're talking to the voice of experience, because I broke one time because I was in a hurry out in the middle of the field, and I got in a big hurry and broke it. This one bolt over here is the one that's got all the tension on it. Start back at 1. Oh, let's see, I'm losing 3. There. And you kind of put it together back the same way, a little bit at a time. Most of it's, if you guys are pretty mechanically inclined, it's just common sense, you know. Once you figure out how it works, you know that's under spring tension, you just don't start ripping them out of there. And I knew that when I broke that one, but I just got carried away. I was trying to go more than a turn at a time. And it cracked the housing, so yeah, it was not a good deal. I had to buy that one. Cost me about 800 bucks. I think we're getting fairly loose now. I got some knee pads over there. I'm going to have to go get them for roofing houses. This is hard on your knees. Stuff like this kind of eats your time up. Sometimes the guy gets impatient and just wants to start, God dang, I just want to get that son of a bitch off of there and get going here. Sweating like a whore in church. Son of a bitch. I think we're pretty well loose now. Seems to be. Let's go back, number 3. Yeah, 3's got a little bit of tension on her. Yeah, it's still got a little bit of tension on it. There's a bunch of shims, I think, in here too. Yeah, you got to keep track of your shims. Where am I at? I was on number 6, I'm on number 7. Back to number 1. Yeah, she's getting pretty light spring tension on her now. Long process. Alright, it's loose now. I'm going to go ahead and zip them on out of there. Every one of them I get into is loose, so. All right. Number one hole goes right at the top. I'll show you there's a little feed tube for this park brake housing here too. And there's an output bearing here we'll have to pull off. One shim, two shims, three shims, actually 1, 2, 3, 3 small shims and one thick one. So there's 4 shims there. Alright, put these shims back on here for now. Keeps track of stuff here. Okay, so it's only going to go a certain way. Alright, there's a little bitty nipple here, a little feed tube. It's a little feed tube that goes in here. And there's an O-ring on each end of it. That oil feeds this park brake piston to release it. Here's your level springs right here, in the case of your, and they're big heavy duty bastards. Shove that in there. Okay, we'll kind of just settle our bolts back in this for now. Okay, notice the concave side. We're going to set her in there just like that. Alright. Wow. Yeah, she's on there pretty tight. Better off without screwing it up, please. Alright guys, so I got my park brake piston out. Here's our big old park brake piston. Got a outer seal here. Looks like just a quad ring. Should be, just got that outer seal. I don't see an inner one. Okay. You got a couple of level springs in here. I think those are caged somehow though in there, if I remember right. I think somehow those are caged. I gotta look in the service manual, see what we got going on there. But But I think as far as we go now until we tip it over on its side there, and then this rear housing I think comes off before you pull this out. I'll have to look in the service manual, but we're getting ready to flop her over on her side. Same thing, got an O-ring on here. Yeah, that's usually how they come off, they just slide right off. Okay. And this one here, we'll take these 4 cap screws out here. Got a little bit of a glare there, kind of screwing things up, but we'll take these 4 cap screws. There's some pusher holes here we need to clean out. And shove this housing off here. Probably going to be 16. And I gotta go get my battery and stick back in this thing. There's a pump drive gear in here that we'll have to pull off too. Find an old blower nozzle and clean them holes out. I don't know if these bolts here are long enough or not. One thing, they're full of paint. Okay. I'm not so sure if those are just puller holes. Those are just dead end. I don't think those are pusher bolts. I don't think those are going anywhere really. Well, let's see. Let's see what happens here. That gave it a little gap there, huh? Couldn't tell if it was bottoming out in this or the housing on the other side. No sense in going any further because I'm out of threads. There's 1, 2, 3 shims in there. I get a bar so if I can pop that off of there. If they don't come easily, then I'm probably going to have to go get me another longer bolt. Oh, it ain't going to be too bad. Alright, there we go. Whoa! Alright. Give you guys a little better look here. Alright, so there's your input bearing right here. I need to pull this off of here. There's 18 millimeter there, but okay, so we got to pull these cap screws and pull this housing off of here now. Alright guys, to pull this housing here, we've got to flop the transmission over on the back side to lift straight up on this, but I wanted to pull, I'm going to pull my solenoids here off, and so we don't damage anything there. Trying to see what else I mean, it might, if we go real easy, I guess, I almost would like to take these coils off, take this fitting here off, and then put some blocks or something underneath it somehow, so where we're not going to damage anything. But I wanted to show you, here's your oil, your inlet filter, so that'll be replaced, but here's your inlet screen. Look at this thing. Let's see if we have a problem. You know what that is? That's parts of a piston. It's parts of piston O-rings, and that's exactly what happened to this thing. The piston O-ring failed. You know, with that many hours, it's probably just, you know, just rotten. It just got rotted out, and there it is, you know. It's the way it goes when you get a lot of hours on stuff, and it's exposed to heat and hot and cold all the time. It's going to fail eventually. Then them seals will only last you so long. So I'm going to pull my park brake solenoids off. This is part 2, and I know they're different. See how they've got the different nuts are spaced differently. So I want to mark these just to make sure we're going in the right spot. And I know there's the spacers on these too. And if you get it wrong, you damage the park brake coils when you start it. And pull our pressure switch for park brake. Pull it off. We'll pull this big fitting off here. I don't think we're going to hurt this one here. This is our relief valve up here. So it should be fine there. Because this is pretty much going to be flush with this part here. I just don't want to damage the threads on this and break a coil. There's pressure switch off. I don't think we're going to hurt the shaft any by laying it down. But alright guys, so I'm going to pull these coils off, this off, and then pressure switch out of here. Well, we got her flipped up, sitting on some blocks right now. Okay. So we'll get all the bolts loose here. We're going to clean this hole out, take one of our lifting eyes and move it from here to here, and then pick up on this housing here, fuel crane. I got a feeling I got a hay truck showing up here. He said he lost his clutch. He said all of a sudden it just went on him, and now the clutch won't release. I said, well, either your pin fell out of your linkage and runs your throw-out bearing, or might just be as simple as, you know, the throw-out bearing went out. So okay. Okay, so I need this chain. These lifting eyes right here. They always call and they say, "Are you busy?" Yeah, I'm busy. Huh? What can I do for you? I'm just one old rancher that I do a lot of work for, and I've done work for him for years. He came up to me and he says, my old man told me, he says, you don't ever want a mechanic. You don't want to hire one that's in a good mood, especially a private guy. And I said, oh yeah, why is that? He says, well, Dad always said if he was in that good of a mood, he must have not been that good of a mechanic because he wasn't busy enough. That was kind of funny. He says, I want a grumpy old irritable asshole. That's what I want. Okay. I got one bolt here. I see that I didn't get loose. Alright, so I don't know how hard this thing's going to come off, but let's put just a little tension on it. White centered. That's a little better. I like that a little better. Alright. Alright, she's bleeding there, I see, so got a little bit of a gap started in it. There. So where's my bar at? I'm gonna have to coming off the shaft there. Finger stuck in the way, and there goes a bearing race right in the damn floor sweep. Clean this thing up. Okay. There's our rear cover, or actually our front cover, front drive housing. Is there any shims in this thing? The shims, I think, were just on the retainer outside, and that put the preload on the bearing, so. Okay, this is your transmission pumps in here. These are going to be bearing retainers for the count for the shafts inside the transmission. We actually have to pull this bearing and this gear off of here. So that ought to be fun. Alright, well, let me get tooled up for that. Well guys, I'm kind of at a standstill here. I got to do this right, so I moved shops here, you know, a couple years ago, and I haven't used this big knife edge bearing spreader in a long time. I used to have the legs that went into it, and I don't know what the hell happened to them. They're gone. But basically, I'm gonna wait for the steel outfit has all these. I'll just get some all thread and some tubing, and make some new legs for it. And then basically, I'll put a bottle jack here on the end of the shaft, and then build another plate for the top there and cut some holes, and then run the offset through it with a nut on top of the plate, and then just take the jack and pop this bearing off. But then I'm gonna have to figure out something here. And I told the owner, I said, I looked at all this in the service manual, and I said, I don't have some of this stuff. I might have to make it. Which this one's got a part number on it. JD, there's a puller that wraps around this gear right here, and you do the same thing. It's got legs that go up to a plate and a jack you stick on the shaft, and you're supposed to pull this off. But I mean, I could probably take a piece of heavy walled pipe, you know, somewhere, measure the diameter on this gear, and I could probably cut halves and make something, you know, and something to come underneath it and pull on it. So if I have to, I've got the part number. It's a JDG 1473 tool group. So I might call them tomorrow and see how much they want for it. If they want, you know, $2,000 for it, I'm going to tell them to pack sand. I'll build one. But here's our transmission oil pump right here. Let's pull this out of here. Okay, well, we got those loose. Let me see if we can pull this transmission oil pump out of here. I better not lay those there, they'll end up falling down in there or something. Really good spot to get a hold of this thing. I can guarantee you one thing, this expensive of a transmission, this would definitely get replaced. Okay, so there's the big O-ring on the suction tube there. And that's going to go right in there. That's our transmission pump right there. I'm sure it's just a big internal gear pump inside there. But we might take that. We'll probably end up just getting, I'm just going to put another pump. I mean, if this is expensive of a transmission, just put a new pump in it. Don't even take a chance. Well, that's about as far as I can go today till I get this puller set up, and then I'll call them tomorrow and see what they want for the tool group and how. Damn, that edge of that pump's pretty sharp. But I'll see how much they want for the tool group, and if it's, I got a feeling it's probably going to be crazy. You know, so I googled it too on the part number JDG 1473, and I couldn't find anything on. I mean, there's not that many people rebuilding these transmissions, so I'll make something if I have to, which shouldn't be too big of a deal. If we have to, we might have to pull some of these bolts out, and these are some pretty heavy plate to put back in here to pull on it, but we'll make it happen. Well, come out here and show you the next project that just pulled in. So he just pulled in here, this hay truck, and he said he he said, "Oh, I got to start it in gear," and I got underneath it. And, I mean, the throw-up bearing's not even attached to the clutch anymore. You know, on a truck clutch, that part of the throw-up bearing's attached to the clutch release mechanism for the springs and everything in there. It's not even attached anymore. It's just sliding around the input shaft. So I'm gonna have to make some room in here and get this thing in here and jack the cab up on it. And I'm just gonna use my crane, just pull the transmission. Once I get the cab jacked up on it, we'll just use the crane and crane the transmission back. Wrap a chain around the transmission and we'll just pull her back and pull the clutch out of her. Good times, man.